we'll get going here today. My name is Tony Radical with Heartland Business Systems, and first off, we appreciate everybody jumping on the webinar today. The discussion today is going to be about how to transform the office and going over our digital document conversion and storage. We will have Q&A. You should see a location within the webinar where you can ask questions throughout, and some of those that if we need to cover, we will cover them during the webinar. If not, we'll make sure we get those answered after. So my name again is Tony Radical. I will be presenting today with Steve Geralt from our document imaging team. So just to give a basic introduction here, going over a few things that we're going to cover today. We're going to go over our document management software, which is called File Director. We'll also give you a short demo, kind of what it looks like and different capabilities that the software does have. The other thing we'll be covering is our document and film conversion services. So we have a service bureau here at Heartland that can do all of your scanning documents, convert film to digital media, scan in aperture cards, all sorts of different things to get your documents converted. And lastly, we'll go over our paper and film scanners. We are gold partners of Canon, so we have scanners that we can provide and service for your organization. So what are some of the markets we serve? I mean, I wouldn't say we're specifically in a certain vertical market. We're definitely kind of all over the board we can assist people with. So we are in the K-12 and work with some colleges and education. We have a lot of manufacturing companies that we work with today. We're very heavy in the government, so a lot of counties, cities, as well as in financial and banks and credit unions. We also have a good chunk of healthcare customers as well. So, when you look at document imaging and imaging services, what are the benefits to the customer? What are you really going to see in moving to this sort of way of doing things? I guess the big thing to start with is just improving the productivity and service by avoiding those lengthy searches and lost documents. So really what you're eliminating gives you the ability to not have to search in filing cabinets or go in a room where you may have all these boxes stored, or if they're in a basement. Obviously the documents now can be kind of at the tip of your finger on your PC. Also, biggest thing it does handle as well is satisfying various government regulations by effectively managing document retention and destruction procedures. So you can put in there whether, say you have an employee file or financial or something that can be destroyed maybe 7 or 10 years down the road, you can do that in File Director in our software, that when that document gets in today, you can put a 7-year policy in where that document will then be purged. So it just helps you manage that. Also just enhancing the disaster recovery. So, if you have within your building, if there's a fire, a flood, or documents that just get lost, there's no worry because obviously the documents are all stored into a digital conversion service for you. So it eliminates that process. And lastly, the archiving of records that are generated by other systems. So if you have in-house, you have shared files on a network, or you have tons of files on your desktop or saved under your name, all these documents can then be pulled into our software as well. So whether you don't have anything today stored digitally, but if you do, you can pull those into File Director. So what are some key components? Again, I talked a little bit about it, but some other ones that on the compliance side, the components that it can handle is there is a full audit trail. So any document that gets put in, they'll be tracked as to who opens it, who may have edited that document. It's just a way of tracking to make sure that as soon as that gets in, who's seeing it and who cannot see it. And there's different security levels can be set up within File Director for you to manage that. Also, there's a full integration with Microsoft Active Directory, so the same login you take to get on your PC, you can use that for File Director. And if you want it to launch it when you open, or when you log on for the day, you can do that. If not, you're just going to use your regular login. The revision and retention tracking, again, I just covered a little bit, but basically you can put any certain retention that you want in, whether you want 0 retention, 5 years, 7 years, that can all be handled within File Director. The full text search capabilities, So if you want to do the OCR, like the optical character recognition, you can keyword search. So once you have your documents in the system, you can search whether it be invoice number, an exact word. You can do a financial number if you want to know what the amount of the invoice. You want to pull that up. It'll pull all those documents within that. And we'll show you shortly in the demo that we'll be covering. Also integration, full integration with Microsoft Office. So with your email, you can pull your documents right into FileDirector, and again, we'll be showing you that here in a little bit. It does have workflow capabilities, so if you have a document that you receive that then you approve and you want it to go to another individual and then from there to their boss, there is definite workflow capabilities that can be handled. And then this does scale again from small to medium business to enterprise. So we have some organizations that may only have 1 or 2 users, and then we have some organizations that have several hundred users. So this is an on-prem. You can have this the software built on-prem, or there is a cloud-based option as well. So now we'll jump into shortly here just kind of what FileDirector looks like and give you a little feel as far as the uses and tools that you can do, and we'll kind of give you an example on how to scan into FileDirector so you can kind of see the look and the feel of everything within FileDirector. So Steve Geralt is going to be pulling that up here shortly and kind of being handled a short little demo here for you.
Good afternoon, everybody. What we're looking at here is the FileDirector Windows client. And this is what a user would see right after logging into the software. First step would be to open a file cabinet. Documents are stored at the highest level in file cabinets. Typically, you would have at least one file cabinet. Most organizations have multiple, usually divided by department. So finance may have a file cabinet where HR would also have their own separate file cabinet. So I'm going to open up this HPS demo file or cabinet. And within a file cabinet, we can have multiple document types configured for storing. In this cabinet, I have AP invoices, AR invoices, human resources, etc. And for each document type, there's a set of index fields to find. So to find a document, you fill in one or more of these index fields. You hit the search button, and it'll bring back a list of all the documents that match that search criteria, in this case, invoice number 34567. You get a hit list down here of all the documents that match your search criteria, and that particular document is displayed in the viewer. Now, Tony was talking earlier, how do we search for a document using full text? Well, we'll clear our search criteria here. We'll turn on the full text search option, and I'm going to search for a specific part number that is on one of my invoices. And we did get a hit. It'll highlight that part number on the document and display that page of the document. Now, if we enter a different value here, something a little more generic, you'll see that we actually match 2 documents, and we can just click on the document to determine which one we're looking for. This one is a Optima battery. The other one is a Duracell battery. Once we have our documents in the viewer, we have tools that we can redact areas, do all sorts of fancy annotations, apply a sticky note. then we can always remove those annotations. So how do we get documents into File Director? There's multiple ways to do that. The first is we can scan a document. So I select my scan profile here. I've got a little Canon desktop scanner. I'm going to scan an invoice. I'll enter the invoice number. We'll enter the invoice date, invoice amount, find the vendor name, and we can look up the vendor number. I'm going to put the document into my scanner, and I'm going to hit the scan button here. We can do a quick QC of the document. If everything looks good, we'll just hit the check-in button, and the document's automatically saved to the File Director server.
And while Steve's going to the next one here, just so you know, you can see on the left there's invoice number, date, invoice amount, vendor name, vendor number. I mean, that is obviously 5 fields, so that's a lot of data. You know, some companies, they may want to just do 2 fields just because it's less inputting, you know, really however you want to do it. The other thing as well that File Director does do is if you have, you know, consistent documents, meaning if you have 1,000 invoices you're putting through or bills that you receive, and if that data is in the same spot every time, meaning that if your invoice number is always in the top right corner or that date's always in the bottom left and you want that captured, we have an OCR zonal piece within File Director that can be captured, meaning then when you scan these documents in, it will automatically index that for you within File Director. So that's just one thing that can be done. Again, that we won't show here today, but just to kind of give you an idea. Oh, do you want it? Okay.
I can show you real quick here. I just chose the invoice AR scanning profile. We'll go ahead and just scan these 10 documents. Only take a minute.
Now, again, these documents, as you see, they're all the same, but the invoice numbers are different, the invoice dates are different, the invoice amounts are different. So as these documents are populating below, you can see Steve didn't enter any data in, it's just automatically populating that data. So you see customer, Heartland, invoice amount 885.75, the dates on there, all the way down. So that, I mean, work-wise, it takes a lot off on really eliminating that manual data. But again, this will work with documents that are always going to be consistent that you're putting in there.
Tony talked earlier about the Office integration. So for all of your Microsoft Office products, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, as well as Outlook, a File Director tab is added to your toolbar. And we've got a few options. We can save this email with the attachment to File Director. We could just save the message, or we can choose to just save the attachment. So I'm just going to change, in this case, save the message. A little indexing dialog box pops up, and we go through, we can select what document type we want to put it into. We can fill in our index fields here.
So again, the great thing about this is when you receive emails or documents that if you have invoices emailed to you or anything AP or HR related, instead of having to print it out and put it into a storage system, you do have the capability to drag those right into File Director in your storage system.
And that same feature is available in Word and Excel. Also, you have the option to right-click. Let's say you have a PDF file that you need to get into File Director. You can just right-click on that file. We can say Send to File Director. That same indexing dialog box pops up, and we can save that file as well.
All right, so that's kind of a high-level view of File Director. And again, if there's any questions or things that you may need or are looking for that we didn't show there, please let us know in a question, and we can get those answered here for you. All right, so the next thing we want to cover here is our document and film conversion services. So like we mentioned, we do have software that you can scan documents into. If you're just looking to get documents scanned in, if you don't have the manpower, don't have the staff, or it's just too much data and you need some assistance, we can definitely help you out with that. So really what we're looking at this is how do you want to reclaim your office space? We do have options where we have a scan to zero functionality as well. And what that means is if you have, say you have 100 banker's boxes or 300 filing cabinets, or a large amount that you may know that, hey, I can't take care of this within a calendar year or 6 months or whatever the case might be, we have the option here to bring those documents on site for you and maybe just scan X amount per month or per quarter or whatever for you. So not only do you now save your space, but we don't, you only get invoiced obviously when we scan in the document. So you, instead of doing it all at once, we can do it in a phase, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 for you. As you can see here, the different pictures of things that we do. So if you look, the first one is the aperture card. We have devices here that can pull those aperture cards into a digital media for you. Also film. If you have rolls of film, 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter, any type of film, we can convert that also digitally for you. You see these are basic files, so whether you have folders or however you store your files in your filing cabinet, those will all get scanned in for you. Next we see engineering drawings. So if you have whether A size, B size, C size, D size, E size drawings, really anything that are large format or drawings that you need to get scanned and indexed, we can take care of that for you. Down here you see a book scanner. So we have a large book scanner here that we do a lot of mortgage and deeds books and large format books that are also able to get scanned. So lastly, I want to cover a little bit on our paper and film scanning hardware. So, a lot of times you look at, there's many different scanners out there, and a lot of people kind of generally say, hey, we have a multi-function device that does all of our scanning and all of our printing and so on and so forth, which most companies do, and people do scan in that way. If you do a large amount of scanning, you generally probably want to get a dedicated scanner. We have large Canon production scanners that if you're doing large volumes in more of a service bureau area, that we can handle that. And we also have small desktop scanners. So say you have somebody in accounting or AP or HR that you want to have a scanner just right at their desktop where they can scan in, there's that capability as well. Check scanners we do handle, so we work with a lot of banks and credit unions that when individuals bring checks in, those checks get scanned and read the barcode on there, and then that goes right into the system. There's a capturing system within that. Microfilm scanners, as you see the picture here below, this is our ScanPro 3000. And on the left here, you can kind of see where there's a roll of film would go. Underneath a window or underneath the glass there is where you would put any fiche or aperture cards that would be able to get scanned in digitally. And then again, as far as we would handle any installation that you would need within these scanners, we are certified to work on them, so we have the ability to get service contracts on the actual hardware. We do also offer all training and support with all these devices as well. So, but again, thanks again for your time. We greatly appreciate it. If there's anything we can do to help you out here at Heartland on the imaging side or just in general, please let us know. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.